Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. Yeah, you know what it is. Hard worker, scrappy, unfiltered, and sometimes unhinged football content. Hard to explain, but you know it when you see it. Doing it daily our way. I don't know what you're talking about right now. Redraft and Dynasty Fantasy Football, we got you covered. You know their defense is ranked like 31st in the NFL? NFL draft prospects and rookies? Now you know you in the right place for that.
Absolutely.
All right, then stop saying it. Then we're done. And prop bets with my man JRich. Count that money, man. Now wipe the crust out of your eyes. Get you a cup of coffee. It's time to wake your ass up with Ray G. You honestly are making absolutely no sense and you sound silly as hell. GMGP. It is Monday, November the 6th, 2023. Y'all decided to wake y'all asses up with Ray G. And I am glad you are all in the damn building, tapping in live on YouTube bright and early this fine November morning. It's feeling good in Dallas, baby. It was like 20, 30 degrees last week and 63. Your boy's feeling good, and we got a damn good show lined up for you. I see Tater Wolf, what's happening with you, baby, in the building. John, Marlon, David from across the pond, what's going on with you, man? Good morning, all. Some great games week 9 as well as some pure gross ones. Enjoy the show today. Appreciate you, David. Rowe in the building. Moggs, Ty DeClaire, Hunter, Joe Green, Garrison, Patrick Price, Dominic, 5058, Adam Zaff in the building. All the regulars, man. The regulars are all in here. David, Jimbo, Greg. What's going down? Hopefully all of y'all are enjoying your Monday morning, starting this joint off the right way with your boy, me and JRich. We got a nice show on tap for y'all. And then as well as the other content creator, Scott Connor, dropped a brand new podcast this morning, Destination Dynasty. Make sure you check that out. Gump and Derek, their college football show. Make sure you check that out on the podcast feed. Overreaction Pod tomorrow. JRich dropped straight to the bank on Friday. Make sure you tapped in his shows and a lot of stuff, man. Last night, I also posted a video talking about the 23 class and the 24 class in particular and how we should start thinking about those players for the upcoming rookie draft, how we think about the 23 rookies right now coming out of week 9. So make sure you tap into that on YouTube. We'll actually get that podcast posted today, but excited to talk to y'all today. This is going to be a different show because quite frankly, there was not a lot of good fantasy performances across the board. It was kind of a stinker. Like it really was. I'm trying to write things out, get the good, the bad, the ugly, each position. And I'm like, damn, there's just a lot of mid this week. A lot of, if you had them and you started them, like you're okay with it. But there were some guys that we really wanted to smash perform. Did not get that, but we'll dive into all of that good stuff. But I got to bring in the co-host of this bad boy, JRich. How you doing this morning, man?
I'm good, Ray. I'm good. Yeah, I wanted to ask the people, because it seemed like we had a relatively high scoring to some degree week. Like it wasn't super high scoring, but there were some big games. But it felt like from fantasy, it fell a little flat, at least in my perspective. Yeah. So I was curious if anybody else kind of felt the same way. And maybe it's because the studs we're starting every week just didn't show up, but it was the random guys that kind of did. But we did have some big games from some big players. But as you mentioned, a lot of mid, a lot of just okay. Touchdowns going to the wrong players in a lot of matchups. It just didn't really break for us in fantasy, but I thought the football week was pretty good. There was a lot of marquee matchups. I mean, everyone was hyped for that Baltimore-Seattle game, and we were kind of like, I don't know. And it was probably one of the better calls we had on the week. My goodness, Baltimore absolutely destroyed Seattle this week.
They put foot in them, man. I saw somebody had tweeted out that the Seattle Seahawks and the Detroit Lions were viewed as the top two, two of the top couple of teams in the NFC, and the Ravens have beat them by a combined like 79 to something. It was ridiculous. Yeah. And the Baltimore Ravens have just put foot in everybody in the end. AFC is loaded, man. The AFC is absolutely loaded, Jay. And then this is all coming off of a good week of college football, and I kind of talked about that last night on the new rookie report where I'm going to combine. We're at the point now where we need to be talking about 2024, but this past weekend of college football, we saw a lot of guys really perform. Jaden Daniels is somebody that I've been talking up for a while now. Just really excited about Jaden Daniels and his NFL draft prospectus, and he didn't disappoint. He took a nasty shot, midway through the third quarter that ended up knocking him out of the game, concussed him. But prior to that, 163 on the ground, 219 through the air. Malik Neighbors leading the country in receiving, set to break Jamar Chase's LSU receiving record. Just an absolute monster, Jay. He's just an absolute monster. But I mean, the reality of 24 is, and what we talked about, or what I talked about on this show last night, quarterbacks are coming, man. The quarterback class is looking insane. We saw Caleb Williams ball out, people giving him a hard time because he was crying. Michael Penix did his thing. Bo Nix balling out every single week. J.J. McCarthy looks great. I mean, this class is going to be really good. And people like this does not include Shedeur Sanders, who will not declare. There's no reason why he should declare. That team is so bad. But the 24 quarterbacks are coming, man. So it's time to start thinking about, and we're going to get to C.J. Stroud later in the show, but I got a couple of would you rathers that feature some 2024 players and C.J. Stroud. So before we get to it, Jay, let's get into the news and notes. What do we have coming out of Week 9? Injuries, other types of news. What do we got this week?
Yeah, so it wasn't too bad from an injury perspective. We do have some big news items. So it was reported that Daniel Jones is expected to have torn his ACL, and he will be out for the season. Not that he was playing that well for fantasy anyways. Not that the Giants were really playing that well, but hopefully he can return, get healthy, because he's expected to be the quarterback next year based off his contract. I think it puts the Giants in a tough spot because you think they'd have to draft a quarterback at this point. They don't have Tyrod. They don't have Daniel Jones. They're basically in full tank mode. Dominic DeVito is just not the guy, but Daniel Jones also will not be the guy for at least the rest of the season. Hopefully he can come back for the start of next season. Jalen Hurts re-aggravated his MCL injury, so he has a leg contusion. Jeff thinks it's an MCL sprain. He's wearing a brace at least, so it should be supported to some degree. They are going into the bye, so that's good for Jalen Hurts, but hopefully he can return to play at full capacity. He's going to play regardless. We kind of seen that every single week, but we hope that he can get to 100%. But unfortunately for the Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Goedert will be out for at least 4 to 6 weeks. Jeff thinks it will be 6 weeks if he broke his radius, which is it's a forearm fracture. Radius is the larger bone within your forearm. If it's that, he should be out about 6 weeks. It just depends on whether or not there's further complications with the ligaments within the bone itself. So we'll have to get his surgery for that. He's expected to actually get surgery today. So we'll see pretty shortly what happens with him. Josh Downs re-aggravated his knee injury. We talked about that on Friday, how he was coming into the week with a bit of a knee injury. He re-aggravated it and did not return. He is going into the bye. So this week they play, but week 11 they do have the bye. So there is a chance that he sits this week and does return after the bye week in week 12 at full capacity. So that would be good for him. KJ Osborne suffered a big hit over the middle and was concussed and removed from the game. We are a little bit unsure about his status this week. We'll see what happens with him. But again, with these concussions and concussion protocol, doesn't seem very likely that he will be playing this week, especially if you saw the hit. It was pretty bad. And then Cam Akers potentially suffered another Achilles injury. Right now it's reported as an ankle injury, but a lot of people think it's his other Achilles that he ruptured. So once again, he's probably be out for a long time. We'll see if he can return to the NFL at some point, but very devastating for a player that showed so much promise to have 2 Achilles injuries in the span of 3 years now for Cam Akers, but he will be out for, probably a considerable portion of time, at least about a year. You have Treylon Burks on Thursday Night Football, suffered a concussion. He's in protocol right now. We'll see about him as well. He at least played on Thursday, so we'll have to monitor his status going forward. And there is a chance that he could play, but I mean, for everyone, if you saw the hit, it looked bad. It looked rough. So I'm not expecting him to play this week, but we'll see what happens with him. So Goddard is kind of the main one, I think, in terms of fantasy and what you're looking at. Josh Downs as well. Obviously Jalen Hurts is okay and will probably play, and I doubt anybody's starting Daniel Jones right now, but he will be missing probably the entire season, just waiting on confirmation for that.
It's been a rough season for the Giants, Jay. It's been a rough season for old GQ's Daniel Jones takes, man. First of all, he wasn't playing well. Then he shreds his ACL. It didn't look good when you saw it, and it just felt like at that moment the Giants just were like, you know what, it's a wrap. Like there's no hope. I mean, the Raiders look like an All-Pro team versus the Giants. I mean, it was insane. So it's just, I wish they would have moved Saquon. Like realistically, I wish they just would have traded Saquon Barkley, but here we are. Doesn't look like Saquon will be back in New York after this season, and I saw some people saying that this could completely alter if he has got a torn ACL. We continue to talk about what do the Giants do, Jay, if they're picking in the top 5 and the top 3. And a lot of people were like, well, Daniel Jones isn't the problem, which I agree. I don't think he was the problem, but it didn't feel like in this season he was the answer. My question to you is, he's out, torn ACL. They're picking top 5. They're picking potentially top 3. Are they taking a quarterback? Are they just saying, we have to do this? This is the direction that we have to go. And what is the advice with Daniel Jones? It's easy for us to tell people to go buy C.J. Stroud, to go buy Jalen Hurts, to go buy CeeDee Lamb. Those are easy, obvious calls. But the reality is a lot of people, more people than not, have these type of assets. The Jordan Loves, the Mac Jones, the Kenny Pickett's, the Daniel Joneses. And that is where there is a lack of actionable advice from fantasy analysts, because those are the people that you really need to figure out how to maneuver, how to manipulate those assets. What do you take? Rock bottom price. And I think the reality is a player like Daniel Jones, having suffered potentially a season-ending injury like this, there is no trade of him in an isolated window. There is no Daniel Jones for this. Nobody is going to give you anything of remote value for Daniel Jones straight up. How do you navigate a world in which you've lost Daniel Jones, or you have one of these quarterbacks and you're trying to figure out what to do?
Yeah, that's really tough. I mean, when you talk about players who are performing well and they tear their ACL, that's even hard to trade those players.
Right.
When you have a player who's on the brink, right? You talk about the Giants, 4th right now in terms of drafting, in terms of the overall NFL draft. You have Arizona at the top. You have Chicago with Carolina's pick at 2, Chicago again at 3, and then the Giants, right? So they're even picking ahead of the Patriots, ahead of Green Bay, ahead of the Rams. Like, you want to talk about in range for a quarterback? They are it. They are the range for a quarterback. That's the Drake May range, because if for some reason Chicago doesn't go quarterback, right, and Arizona doesn't go quarterback, maybe they trade out at 1, they could easily be in the Drake May sweepstakes depending on what happens. And then as well, right, the top tackle is probably off the board because Chicago takes that player, right? So then you're looking at a situation where, what do you do? Because they need offensive line help desperately, right? They need that. And if they went offensive line, people will be like, oh, you got to plan for the future, you got to plan for the future. Yes, it's not a quarterback, but it's still a plan for the future, for regardless of who's on the roster. And that's important as well. And if they went quarterback, like you said, it could easily be a quarterback. It could be a Drake May. But for fantasy purposes, I mean, Ray, would you sell at rock bottom prices? Because if you do, I don't think that's a bad process play. If you're getting thirds, if you're getting fourths.
That's what I'm asking you. We've already gone through the fact
I'm talking thirds and
this.
fourths. Like, if someone's offering you a 3rd and a 4th for Daniel Jones, I'm not opposed to take, because I don't know if he's ever starting for the Giants again. Does that mean he's not going to get a job? No. But again, you're basically selling him for a pivot to, a replaceable running back, a replaceable quarterback. And that's kind of what he is with a torn ACL. And even for his future, I can't really disagree if that's the price you want to give up, because what is Daniel Jones not on the Giants? He is just another quarterback who's floating in free agency, waiting for his opportunity. The same as Sam Darnold, the same as Baker Mayfield, the same as all these guys. Yeah, he got high draft capital, but so did a lot of these guys. And it's do we believe he's going to get another chance? And that's the most difficult question with the Daniel Jones. I don't know how he's viewed around the league. I wouldn't assume it's very favorably. And so what does his second chance look like, right? Because when you have quarterbacks like even a Josh Dobbs, who looks like he's definitely going to be on a roster this season and next season, I don't know what to say about Daniel Jones. He'll be on the Giants because of his contract, but Ray, if they draft a quarterback, there's no way he's playing. So at that point, what do you have on your roster? You have a backup quarterback who's worth nothing regardless. So maybe you wait a little bit to see if the hype can build throughout the offseason.
I think you've got to wait a little bit, but I would be most definitely interested in selling. Yeah, man. Like, there's no doubt about it. Would I accept a 3rd and a 4th today? Probably not. Probably not, but I am.
Would you try and hold out for a second, maybe around draft season?
No,
he's getting healthier.
I'm going to landmine him. I'm going to send somebody a young, promising rookie plus Daniel Jones. I'm going to send them Josh Downs and Daniel Jones and see if I can get. Can I get a second? Can I get 2 seconds out of that? Can I send Daniel Jones and Rashee Rice and get a second and a dart throw back? I'm going to try to landmine package him up in Dynasty. But you've buried the most important news, man. The most important news. Old JRich, y'all, is a fantasy savant here. I've got his Scott Fishbowl.
Oh man, I had a bad week.
Pulled up. Number 11 overall, though, Jay. What is this? Number 11. I see you over here. Let me scoot it over. Talk about this. Number 11 overall in Scott Fishbowl. Jordan Richards. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, it's all thanks to the Destination Devi War Tool made by Jordan Backus, right? I think, I got a bit of a unique build. I went Jalen Hurts off rip with Dak Prescott in the 2nd round. I really built my team around a Justin Jefferson injury, which sounds kind of crazy, but it sort of just fell into it, right? You got Kenneth Walker, got J.K. Dobbins. He obviously got hurt. Pacheco, Kamara, TJ Hawkinson was a massive pull for me because he's consistent week after week. Drafted Addison, right? Obviously, he's playing well now. Thank God for Josh Dobbs. I love you, Josh Dobbs, saving my Scott Fishbowl team. But yeah, man, I think it's just luck. But really, it was coming down to the war tool and looking at the settings and not just going with my gut like I do every year. I'm always drafting with my gut. I was like, okay, running backs are valuable.
Scott Fish, man, and everything that he does with Fantasy Cares and for this time of the year and the amount of things that he gives back to the kids in the community. This is a free multi-thousand person tournament and you're number 11 overall. So big congrats to you there, man. Congratulations there. But we went through the injury news. Really unfortunate about Cam Akers. I do think that despite him coming back, or he's droppable in Dynasty. The moment as soon as I'm able to drop him off of my roster, I will drop him. I will not pick him up. I don't want to hold him. Good luck, but it's rough. It is rough, Jay. So let's get into Week 9 and some of the top takeaways from this. Now, we went through every game last week, and we said that it was probably going to be a little bit of a stinker from a game perspective, and that was, in fact, the case. The Falcons and the Vikings game, very entertaining. Dolphins and Chiefs, not so much. Cardinals-Ravens, beat down. Cardinals-Browns, beat down. Rams-Packers, awful. Bucks-Texans, thrilling game right there.
Yes,
Patriots-Commanders, I told you that would be a good game, and it was a good game. Colts-Panthers, nobody watched it. Not a soul. Nobody watched that horrible game. I mean it. Nobody watched them. I'm about to box score scout that game and look at the highlights because nobody watched that awful game. Eagles-Cowboys, dope. Giants-Raiders was stank, but the Raiders got it done. Bills-Bengals was all right. And then the Bears-Saints, nobody watched it either. But, you know, whatever. That was kind of the slate on the weekend, Jay. So you know how we do this now. We talk about the good, we talk about the bad, and we talk about the ugly. Let's start with the quarterbacks.
The good quarterbacks.
All right, Jay. Who is numero uno? Good quarterback this week. Great quarterback this week. Who is him?
Well, Ray, I think we need to have some self-accountability here because we took Bryce Young over this player this past week. So definitely was a bad call on our part. But the man, the myth, the legend, CJ Stroud is back up top, Ray, as the number 1 quarterback in his draft class. I don't know about that. We can discuss. But to say that he was good is an understatement. To say he was great is an understatement. To say he was amazing, maybe still an understatement. He was marvelous, to quote you in our show sheet. 470 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, NFL rookie record, Texans rookie record. He was dope. Like, there's no other way to put it. He was surgical. He was phenomenal. Every time he needed to make a throw, even when we thought Baker led his team all the way back, CJ Stroud was like, no, my friend. I have something up my sleeve for you. 45 seconds left to go. He won the game. What else to say about CJ Stroud? He's even better than I thought he'd be, honestly. We talked about the Jared Goff comp, and then we said the high end was the Joe Burrow comp. He might be in between. He might be better than that. We'll see, but he is playing out of his mind right now. Definitely a great bounce back in what we thought was going to be a pretty difficult spot for Stroud against the Bucs.
Yeah, he was marvelous. There's really nothing to say. 40 points. I saw Ryan McDowell tweet this out that over the last, I don't know how many years, but a very long time, or there have only been 10 quarterbacks to ever do this. I think that's what it was, to score 40 fantasy points and have less than 10 rushing yards. I think he's one of 10 quarterbacks to ever accomplish that. Let me tell, I thought about this a lot last night, Jay. I thought about this a lot. Who does this sort of CJ Stroud ascension feel like to me? You know what it feels like? He feels like the vibes and the feelings that we got from Tua with Mike McDaniels. Like, remember when Tua really started to click with Tyreek and Mike McDaniels, and people were like, whoa, this is the Tua that we wanted coming out of Alabama. This is a top 5 dynasty quarterback. He feels like that, but he's done that in, 8 games. He feels like where Tua is now, and it's taken Tua 3-4 years to get to this point, and you're looking at CJ Stroud, and you feel like he's already at that stage of NFL competency throwing the football. It's a masterclass with what he can do, and he's called himself a ball placement specialist from day one. He said, I can put the ball wherever. Accuracy is my claim to fame. I get the ball out quickly. I make quick decisions. And he's playing with confidence, man. He got touched up in this game. If you didn't watch this game and you just look at the box score, you're like, okay, he smashed 475 touchdowns. But what it doesn't tell you is Devin White and Shaq Barrett were on his ass early. I think Devin White had 4 unimpeded pressures to the quarterback, just straight beeline to CJ Stroud. He got hit a couple of times, took a couple of nasty falls, and then you look up, and he's got 200. Then he's got 300. Oh, it's 40 seconds left. The Buccaneers are going to win the game. Nope. CJ Stroud, CJ Stroud,
Yep.
CJ Stroud. Marvelous. It was an incredible performance. This franchise absolutely hit a home run. I tweeted out after week 2, they're in great hands with CJ Stroud. I know that they had a phenomenal quarterback during his time in Deshaun Watson, but they are in incredible hands with CJ Stroud and Billy Slowick. Bobby Slowick. And everything that he's calling for Stroud to just be comfortable. There's really nothing to say. And what's unfortunate is I thought Baker Mayfield played a very good game as well, but it pales, it doesn't even compare to what CJ Stroud was able to do, Jay. Just an incredible young quarterback, and the league is in a good place with him being here and being in Houston. Good for him. Good for him.
Yeah, he was absolutely ridiculous. And I don't know if you want to move on or continue talking about Stroud, but there was another quarterback who was pretty ridiculous. I can talk about Stroud all day, but we got to move on. Who's up next? We do have the man, Joey Burr, at 2. He's back, baby. Joe Burrow is back. And it's funny you talk about CJ Stroud because I think it was week 3 or week 4. I traded one of my CJ Stroud shares away to get Joe Burrow and T. Higgins. It was CJ Stroud and Nico Collins for Joe Burrow and T. Higgins. I think we're both winners in that trade. Now, I do slightly prefer Joe Burrow right now. But the thing is this is when Burrow was hurt. No one lost this trade. Everyone is doing quite well. They absolutely destroyed the Bills on the offensive side. You know, the Bills came back a little bit late, but man, the Bengals look just as good as they did a few years ago. Obviously, they started slow, but Joe Burrow has been phenomenal, and I think he looked great last night. I wish he could have put up a little bit more from a fantasy perspective, but he was absolutely great. And this is where, when you watch Joe Burrow and he's on, you can tell because he's just putting the ball where it needs to be on time, mobility in the pocket, and now you see that each and every week. When he gets back, he sits back there, he navigates the pocket, he makes the right reads, he moves defenders with his eyes. It's crazy because he came out of nowhere in college, and you were like, can he really do that in the NFL? And he's doing it again in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's really great to see Burrow, and I really don't know what his ceiling is, but I do believe in some ways it is like the top quarterback in football and maybe one of the only quarterbacks who can truly contend with Patrick Mahomes every single week.
There are a lot of analysts who said that after last season that he's right there as far as playing quarterback in the NFL. You know, I'm not talking fantasy. I'm talking lining up and leading a team playing quarterback, that he was right there with Patrick Mahomes. A lot of draft pundits and draft analysts and NFL scouts have said he's right there on par with Patrick Mahomes from playing the quarterback position. He's cerebral. He can move. And if I told you Jamar Chase, he doesn't play in the game, Jay, and Joe Burrow still has 300+ yards and 2 touchdowns, would you believe me? If I told you Jamar Chase wasn't going to play, but Burrow was still going to throw for 3 bills, 2 touchdowns, and Cincinnati was going to put foot in the Bills, would you believe me?
There's no way.
Most people, there's no way. And we'll get to Jamar in a little bit, but he did nothing. He did absolutely nothing, and Joe Burrow was still phenomenal. Definitely one of the best quarterbacks on the week, Jay. There was also another good quarterback, phenomenal quarterback on the week that did not get the win, but talk about Rain Dakota Prescott.
Yeah, Dak Prescott went into Philly, and there was concerns about him and how he may look in this hostile environment because early on in the season, we haven't seen him play that well on the road. Now, one of those games is the Giants game where they absolutely destroyed the Giants. Dak didn't need to do anything. But on the road in Philly, 29 for 44, 374, 8.5, a completion, and 3 touchdowns, Ray. So close to that 2-point conversion. So close to another one to Schoonmaker. It was a game of inches, truly, against the Eagles, and they lost 28-23, but Dak was not the reason they lost. You could say the running game could have been a little bit better, but Dak made plays when he needed to. He scrambled when he needed to. Every time they needed to make a play, Dak pretty much made that play every single time. CeeDee Lamb was phenomenal, bailing him out as well and making plays for him. They got a little bit from the other players, but really it was just CeeDee and Dak making as many plays as possible against this Eagles defense. I thought they played a great game. I thought even the game was called relatively well, and you can kind of speak on that if you want. But Dak overall, I thought the game plan for Dallas was good.
I thought you meant the refs the way they called.
No, not the refs. Not the refs.
On,
I'm saying the game plan for Dallas was good to beat this Eagles defense. They leaned on Dak like they should have, and the data supported, and Dak delivered for them with 374 and 3. So I thought that Dak played a great game. For fantasy, he was great as well, and definitely held his own against Jalen Hurts in this one.
He was very good. He was very good in this game. He was not the reason they lost. And again, I think, and it comes with the territory of being a Dallas Cowboys quarterback, you're going to get hate on, but don't be silly in fantasy, folks. He's going to be a starting quarterback in the league the next 5-6 years. Like, that's just what it's going to be. Is absent some devastating injury, he's going to be a starting quarterback, and he's going to be one of those guys that can put up monster QB1 type numbers without having to draft him and spend QB1 type capital on him because he's 31, 32 years old. It feels like he is the new who, Jay? The new who?
He's the new Kirk Cousins. 100%.
He's the new Kirk Cousins.
100%. Not a QB1, but producing like one.
That is the new Kirk Cousins, not Brock Purdy, not any of these other guys. He's the new Kirk Cousins. Jay, I mean, I kind of want to go switch my hat right now. I want to take this hat off.
You should.
I want to switch the hat because I feel like we should have just let off with Joshua Dobbs. We should have just let off with Joshua Dobbs. I mean, how could you not root for this dude? I mean, I went and everybody says, how could you not? I went and supported some of his stuff monetarily. I went and bought some of his gear because he does seem like he's a dope dude. He's a genuine cat. 5 teams in the last, 6 months. He's had 5 different teams, just moved into a house in Arizona. They ship him away. We could roll with Clayton Tune. He goes out there for Minnesota, Jay, and leads them to a comeback victory versus Atlanta, and he's only been with the team 72 freaking hours. Talk about Joshua Dobbs and how impressive that win was for the Minnesota Vikings, who just don't want to draft a quarterback. They want to keep winning, baby. They just want to keep winning. Talk about Josh Dobbs and that performance versus Atlanta.
I think this is really interesting because now you have the Vikings at 5-4, Ray. So winning record for the Vikings. And this is the quarterback that we wanted to go to Minnesota all along. We wanted to see Joshua Dobbs there. We didn't expect to see him this week. But, Jaren Hall got hurt scrambling. Josh Dobbs has to go in 20 for 30, 158, and 2. It was that dink and dunk style offense that we've seen in Arizona. He's not afraid to run the ball, so he still ran the ball 7 times for 66 yards and a touchdown. I don't know what more we could ask from Dobbs on a short week. He was even reported saying in the huddle, asking Jordan Addison, asking TJ Hawkinson, what am I doing?
What are you guys doing? Yeah, what are y'all doing? Yeah.
What are the reads here? Like, I think that it's endearing, right? But I think the bigger takeaway here that people need to realize is like, he deserves to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. I don't know for how long, right?
You think so?
Think about it this way, Ray. He's probably 4 wins away from the playoffs right now, almost guaranteed in the NFC, because the NFC is terrible, right? They're 5-4. I believe they're already currently in the playoff picture. So you think about if he can keep this team afloat. They've won 4 straight games now. If he can keep this team afloat and they can make the playoffs, which they are currently in the playoffs and ahead of even New Orleans right now.
Yes, they are.
I think he's the quarterback next season, at least to start. We'll see about Kirk Cousins. We'll see about what happens. But if they walk into next season with Joshua Dobbs, would you be really surprised if he leads them to the playoffs? Like, this is just a situation where it's kind of like Geno Smith.
You're just talking about like a bridge. They're not going to give him some deal. They're not committed long term, but Kirk's hurt. Or we drafted a rookie, but we didn't
pay Josh Dobbs $20 million to be your starting quarterback? Why hasn't he earned that at this point?
Because he's Joshua Dobbs. Like, that's really...
Which is unfair, right?
I'm not saying that's my rationale, but that's why. Because he's Joshua Dobbs, right?
Like, I think if you're the Vikings, you should be willing to... If Kirk leaves, which is another question, right? If he leaves, and they walk in next season with Josh Dobbs...
You got a lot of support here. You got a lot of support.
And Jefferson supports it.
You got a lot of support.
And then going to fantasy... He's absolutely fantasy relevant. Like, he's not going to throw for a ton of yards, but the fact that he has a solid rushing floor, every week he's scoring touchdowns. I mean, his anytime touchdown hit, and that was a nice hit, actually.
Adam says low-end starter, why not? Patrick said he's one of the best 32 in the league. Ricardo, I'm with JRich. John said, I would have rather the Steelers rolled with Dobbs than wasted a first on Kenny Pickett. Dobbs
I didn't think we'd be saying this, but it's hard not to root for the guy. I think it's hard for an organization to not back this guy. Like, I mean, you talk about Daniel
I'll say
Jones,
this.
right?
I'll say this. I agree with you from the sense of if he stays in Minnesota, and let's just say, because we don't know what they're going to do, but it doesn't feel like they're going to be in range to draft one of the big two or potentially big three with J.J. McCarthy, depending on how you feel about him. But when you look at this, if he leads them to the playoffs, I could see them bringing him back next year. And maybe, let's just say they draft Jaden Daniels in the second round. He's not ready to go from day one. Dobbs is the starter through week 10, through week 8. They turn it. I could see him earning some more opportunity. I do think he has earned some more opportunity, man. I don't know if he's earned $20 million, but I do think that you look across the NFL, the quarterback landscape is shit, man. I mean, I went through it last night. I think there's only about a handful of teams, 15, 16 teams, half the league, that are rock solid at the quarterback spot. They don't need anybody. Everybody after that could be looking for a bridge player, a bridge quarterback. And I know it seems asinine now, but look at who's starting for us right now in week 9. So maybe that's the type of guy you say, you know what, we can Davis Mills this thing for 1 year with Josh Dobbs. If it works, great. If not, we'll draft a second and third round quarterback to develop behind him. But great for Josh Dobbs.
QB4 on the week, man.
QB4 on the week for fantasies, locked and loaded. Didn't even start, Jay. Good night. We've got some other quarterbacks who were good, and the main one that I want to talk about, we have talked about him on this show, Jay, every week, and we flip-flop back and forth, back and forth. No more flip-flopping, Jay. It's done. I am in. I am in. I am in. Who am I talking about, Jay? Who am I in on right now?
The leader in pass attempts yet again on the week. It is Commanders quarterback Sam Howell. They got the win against the Patriots 20-17. 29 for 45, 325, only one touchdown to Jahan Dotson and one pick, but also ran 5 times for 27 yards. Sam Howell was great yet again. I mean, we keep saying it week in and week out how much we like what we're seeing from Sam Howell. Yes, the offense isn't great from a fantasy perspective because they spread the ball around too much, but consistently, Sam Howell is a top 10, top 8 quarterback. And I think we're just going to continue to see this progression. I think he could be the starter next season. I think we should be buying into Sam Howell. We've been kind of saying we should buy into Sam Howell for weeks now, but I feel like at this point, we can confidently say that he deserves to be the quarterback next year, and I think is playing his way to be that without a shadow of a doubt. They're 4-5 right now, 13th in terms of the rankings. But again, in the NFC, it's wide open right now. There's so many teams that are right in that mix, 4-5, 5-4, that can all make the playoffs. I think Washington is definitely within that range to make the playoffs potentially. Now, we'll see what happens with them down the stretch. They obviously are playing a tough division, but they are definitely playing their way into a potential playoff spot and outside of that top quarterback range.
Yeah, I'm in on him being the QB next year. I don't know if he's the long-term. Listen, I don't dynasty like most people. Most people, they're thinking, I've got this guy for 3-5. I'm thinking about next year, 2020. I don't even give a shit about 25. I have no idea. I have no idea. For next season, I'm in on Sam Howell. The Commanders should roll with him next year. We're talking about a bridge-type quarterback. He's like bridge plus. He's good, man. You watch the game. I'm not talking about box score, highlight. Watch there were some throws, corner 7 routes, Jay, on the sideline to Terry McLaurin, much space, and he's just threading needle after needle after needle. Yes, you are going to have some boneheaded Sam Howell plays, sacks. The interception in the end zone was all, I don't know what he was doing right there. But this is a player that we liked a lot throughout his collegiate career. Had no clue how on earth he got pushed down to the 5th round. I think, look, too much Baker Mayfield in his game.
Too much Baker Mayfield,
Too much Baker, right? 100%. Looks a little bit like Baker. I don't know about that. Dude, they are letting him air it out, and I commend Bieniemy and the Commanders franchise. The only thing I give him credit for, let him throw the ball. See what you have. Like, build an offense around his skill set, make him comfortable, and he's paying dividends, man. Goddamn Byron Pringle out there. Who the hell is number 3? Everybody's talking up Jamison Crowder. It is Byron Pringle. Byron Pringle. He just distributes the ball everywhere. People nervous about Jahan Dotson. He is making Jahan Dotson look like, man, that's the first-round pick out of Penn State that I've wanted to see. When you've got a quarterback, he is playing like a truck right now. Sam Howell is playing like a truck. He's not a full crew cab You know, he's not a 2,500. This is the Texas
He's one of those
coming out.
little trucks.
He's a 15. No, he's a 1,500. He's a 1,500.
Okay.
But you know, no diesel, no 2,500. But he's a truck right now. You can tow. You can tow with a 1,500. You can tow with a 1,500. That's what Sam Howell feels like right now. He feels like a mini light truck. I'm very impressed with Sam Howell. Baker Mayfield, I got to give him some love. He was also good on the week. Jay, now we got a couple of quarterbacks. Let's get to the bad.
The bad quarterbacks.
Jay, bad quarterbacks on the week. I got two guys. And this has
there
no.
should be a third. There should be a third. We will talk about him when we get to the next section.
Okay. So bad on the week. Tua Tagovailoa was bad. He was bad, and we're not gonna eviscerate him long term or anything like that. But he was bad. This was a player that we thought could be a top 5 quarterback on the week. I think I had him ranked as QB4 coming into the week. If you started Tua, you just weren't really happy with what you got. He was bad on the week. I'm actually going to move this one down to the ugly, so don't worry about the second one. Who do you have as your bad for the week?
So my quarterback who was bad and not ugly is Tyson Bagent, Ray. I understand that he did not have his best performance. You have him as an ugly, and understand that because if you watch the game, it wasn't pretty, right?
It was very bad.
But again, he's playing the Saints defense, which I believe is one of the better defenses in the league. I believe it's almost top 5. They are a great defense. They're going to turn you over. He obviously threw 3 picks, and that wasn't great. But when you're rushing 8 times for 70 yards and you're a top 10 quarterback, or I believe he's top 11 because he was pushed by Joe Burrow and Josh Allen, that's good enough for me. So even though he threw 3 interceptions, he actually got it done for fantasy if you were forced to play him.
Yes, he got it done. I am dying at the chat for all my truck lovers out there. Ford XLT for sure. Brandon says a non-lifted F-150. George F-150, but XL. And then somebody said he's a Colorado. Jimbo, get the hell. That ain't even a truck, Jimbo. Get out of here with that. Come on, man. Come on, Jimbo. You about to make me cry, man. That is very disrespectful to call him the Colorado. But yes, Jay, you probably don't know anything about this. You're not well versed in the truck
Not a truck
market.
guy.
But Tua was bad. I thought Bagent was bad. I wanted to put Mahomes in there because I had him as QB1 on the week, but he was fine.
What about Lamar? He was good for fantasy. He sucked.
I had him in the good column, and then I erased him because I'm like, man, he was good. He didn't need to either. I mean, he didn't need to. The Ravens just
Gus Bus had to get those touchdowns, which is great.
Him and Keaton Mitchell, awesome. But let's get to what we really want to talk about, the freaking ugly. And a couple of these players, they were going to be ugly, but some of them not as ugly as they were. Like, my goodness, how ugly could you be? Let's go.
The ugly quarterbacks.
Jay Clayton Tune, good Lord.
What did you expect, Ray? Rookie quarterback, first start against the best defense in the league. Come on. You know that he started this game because Kyler was not playing his first game against this defense.
58 yards.
He was thrown to the fucking wolves, bro. This is awful. Like, I feel so bad for Clayton Tune, like someone that I stood next to on a football field.
We did.
And he had to play against this defense.
Okay.
Come on, man. Just because Kyler's practicing, Kyler's getting first team reps, and they're like, hey, Clayton, how about you go play this #1 DVOA defense in the NFL? Go throw 4 picks, get sacked 7 times, have a QBR of 1.6? Are you kidding?
Jay, I knew it would be bad, but I thought he would be able to complete a couple of passes, man. Like, this is the most accurate quarterback in college football history right here we're talking about, or one of them. I thought something.
I feel bad for the guy, man.
I felt bad, too. We should not have done this. This is bad take by me. This is bad take by me. What do you expect? I didn't put Brett Ripien in here because I was like, what do you expect? And then I just slammed Clayton Tune because he destroyed my Hollywood Brown and Trey McBride week. But this is a bad take by me. This is we'll erase this. This is terrible, Jay. I should not have done this. Let's get to somebody who rightfully earned this bad boy. Bryce Young.
Week in, week out.
Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Wow. Bryce Young was bad. He was not good in this game. And the Colts defense that we talked about coming in, allowing 30 points almost every single week. You can't throw 3 picks. You can't throw 2 pick sixes. He was bad. Bryce Young takes a couple steps forward and takes about 10 steps back. this week up against the Colts. You know, we talked about him getting closer to CJ Stroud.
Oh, yeah, he was getting
CJ
close.
Stroud breaks rookie records, and CJ Stroud throws 2 pick sixes against a god-awful defense. The Colts didn't have to do much in this game because Bryce basically threw them out of the game. Would have been close, as I think the announcers mentioned. It was 13-13 if you take away the pick sixes. But Bryce threw them out of this game. He couldn't even get the ball to Adam Thielen.
He couldn't even get the ball to. He couldn't even get the ball to Miles Sanders on the screen, man. Like Carolina's off. Like this. Jay, I'm gonna ask the question again. I'm gonna ask this question again. Which trade is gonna go down if this continues? Let's just say they lose every game. They just stink it up from here out, right? They lose every game. Frank Wright does not look like he's the answer. I mean, what is this trade going to go down as to get Bryce Young? Knowing what they could have had this year, knowing they could have drafted, which after the combine, when McCown was talking to CJ Stroud, we'll play hoops. I'll see you in Carolina. Reports started to come out, and it's always funny how they come out when things don't go well. But reports coming out that the ownership they wanted Bryce Young, the coaches wanted CJ Stroud. So there's the rift there. Bryce gets drafted. You give up a future first. You trade away DJ Moore.
It's bad. It's, you compare it to Trey Lance, and I think the only reason why it's not as bad as Trey Lance is because Bryce Young is actually starting games for the team, right? Like, Trey Lance was unfortunate because he would have, but got injured. But yeah, I mean, at this rate, it doesn't look like Bryce Young's going to make it into year 3. Like, he probably will because he was first overall pick, but I mean, he's trending towards Baker Mayfield land, Sam Darnold land. Did you watch the game?
I didn't watch it.
Not much, no. I was watching the Eagles and Cowboys.
Yeah, I didn't watch it.
All I saw was him throwing pick sixes on the red zone.
That's all I saw. That's all I saw. It's just ugly.
And Kenny Moore's sisters.
Him and Kenny Moore, they were in cahoots that game. Final ugly quarterback, Jay. I don't know what to think, man. I don't know what to think. Go ahead and talk about your boy. You can't stand him. You can't stand this player. I don't know what he's done to you. But talk about Geno Smith and how ugly he was this week.
What is there to talk about, Ray? I keep saying how bad he's been. I keep telling people that he is not good. Like, yes, last year was great, but in the second half, he wasn't good. People figured out how to play him. This year, again, didn't expect much going into Baltimore. I told everybody on Friday, they're going to lose by 20-plus points. They lost by 30 points. So
you said it.
What do we do with Geno Smith now? I don't know, but for fantasy, dude is worth nothing. Like, he is absolutely worthless. We can shit on Clayton Tune and talk shit about him. It was his first start against the best defense in the NFL. It's not even close. You talk about Geno Smith, who's been a starter for many years, been in an NFL facility for many years, had success last season. The only ball he could throw to was to JSN, and that was it. He could barely get the ball to DK Metcalf, barely get it to Lockett. 13 for 28, 157, threw a pick, 4 sacks. Again, didn't expect much, but for fantasy football, it seems like the dream of Geno Smith and what could be in Seattle is absolutely over. And in my opinion, we should be looking at Drew Lock pretty soon.
We're not going to look at Drew. They're not going to go to Drew Lock. Like, stop it. They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. Pete Carroll's not going to pull Geno Smith. He's been pretty bad. He's been bad. He's old.
Really bad.
He's got some nasty stink on him from the past. There's little to no value. I still see people moving future first to get him. I'm just like, why? Like, why are you doing that? Because they want the starter. But he's been bad. He has been very bad over the past couple of weeks. Bailed out by that come from behind victory. But it doesn't look good for Geno Smith. You want to hear his 1 month stretch
that he has?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Look at this schedule. So you got the Commanders. Okay, we'll see. I think the Commanders win that game. Then you got the Rams, depending on Matthew Stafford's status. We'll see. But I think the Rams could contend, but probably lose.
That should be 2 wins, but keep going.
49ers at home, though. At Dallas.
Somehow they'll win one of those games. Keep going.
Keep going. 49ers at home at Dallas. They're losing that game by 30. At the 49ers. They're losing that game by 30. Then they play the Eagles. Now they're at home for that game. And then they got Titans, Steelers, Cardinals. So the end of the season's okay, but that 1 month stretch should be 4 straight losses for them. Easily.
Well, Jay, everybody keeps asking. People are saying, oh, Jordan Love should be in one. Stop. I mean, he was 20 for 26, 222 and 8, at 228 and 1. There were a lot of quarterbacks this week with similar stat lines, and you weren't starting Jordan Love as some high-end asset. He was a QB2. We're not going to talk about Jordan Love. I mean, what was the difference between Jordan Love and, Jalen Hurts
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones. A lot of these guys were just mid, so I'm not Josh Allen wasn't particularly great, but he got you 250 and one, and then he scored a rushing touchdown. There were a lot of those performances this week, so we're not just gonna throw Lamar Jackson. I mean, people saying put Jordan Love in the ugly category, then where do you put Lamar Jackson? You know, like he didn't do anything for us from fantasy. He didn't play bad, but he didn't play great. So I didn't think Jordan Love was awful. I mean, he had 228 and one. You could have done a lot worse this week than starting Jordan Love. There were just a lot of mid performances across the board. You go to Atlanta, Taylor Heineke, people all excited about that Heineke. He got you 268 and one, threw an interception. I mean, there was just a lot of mid-range performances. So the good, the bad, the ugly, like who was truly bad that we were expecting good from, and who was ugly that we were expecting something from. I don't think we expected much out of Heineke, out of Jordan Love, out of Deshaun Watson. You could have put him in a good
Watson was
light.
okay, yeah?
Yeah, good light. That's what I mean. Some of these guys were just like good light. Like they were fine. If you had them, started them, you were fine, Jay. But let's move on to an awful position that just nobody cares about anymore. It's just the worst position in football. Let's talk about the running backs, the good ones at least.
The good running backs.
All right, good running backs, Jay. This riveting.
Was there any of them? Was there any good running backs this week?
Well, actually, let's reverse pivot. I don't want to talk about them right now, Jay. Let's pivot. Let's reverse pivot. I want to play a game, Jay. Give us some music. Let's play a game. Let's play a game. Give me some wake up music. Give me some wake up music. I can't hear it.
You want me to turn it up?
Yeah, turn it up a little bit. There we go. We're gonna play a little Would You Rather, CJ Stroud edition. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that? You want to play a little Would You Rather?
Hell yeah.
CJ Stroud edition. All right, Jay. Let's talk about CJ Stroud versus, Jay, who would you rather have? CJ Stroud or Kyler Murray right now? Which one?
Murray.
CJ Stroud or Kyler Murray? Who you taking right now?
I am taking CJ Stroud.
All right, CJ Stroud over Kyler Murray. There it is. JRich, would you rather have the 101 in 2024? The 101. I'm going to put his picture up. That man, Caleb Williams, right?
Is he crying?
No, he's not. Stop. 101 in 2024, and you get a quarterback back. You get the 101 and Brock Purdy. So 101 and Brock Purdy or CJ Stroud. Would you rather? Which one?
I am taking the 101 and Brock Purdy. I think that's a lot of value to get for your CJ Stroud, so I'm inclined to take it.
And if you had the 101, would you take Caleb or would you take Marvin Harrison?
If I had the 101?
If you had the 101, Caleb or Marvin Harrison?
You got to take Caleb, but man, Marvin's looking pretty good. All
right, Jay, you ready for the hottest of hot takes? I'm going to ask you this one. Turn the music down. Would you rather? Turn it off. Just turn it off. Stop it. All right, there we go. Would you rather CJ Stroud or this man? Who's that on the screen?
Come on, Ray.
Josh Allen.
Come on.
Josh Allen or CJ Stroud?
What are we doing here?
JRich, which one? Answer the question.
Josh Allen. It's not close. It's Josh Allen. Because Josh Allen can run and CJ Stroud does not run. It's very simple. It's very, very, very simple.
CJ Stroud or Justin Herbert?
That is more interesting. And here's why. You want to talk about Herbert, talk about Stroud, talk about Burrow, talk about Tua. They're all kind of like similar quarterbacks. You can have your takes about one or the other, but like if you believe that Stroud is in that tier, I don't think it's crazy to take Stroud over a Herbert. I don't think he's got the higher ceiling than Herbert, but if we're ignoring that fact and they can just do similar things from a production standpoint, I don't hate it. If you really wanted to go Stroud, I don't hate it. I think, whether you're looking at any of those quarterbacks, they're all kind of in a similar light. Great passers, very little on the ground. And that's really what it boils down to for all those guys. All could throw for 4,500. All could throw for potentially even 5,000 if everything broke for them. Just depends on kind of how it goes for all those players. But I think that you can make the case for Herbert or Stroud either way, just depending on how you feel about each guy. Obviously, today you prefer Herbert, but maybe in a couple years you prefer Stroud.
It's going to be interesting. Everybody is just, I've just seen this play out. Give it a year or two. And we're going to revisit this question. Yeah. And I'm saving all these slanderous comments y'all are saying. I know good and damn well Cody ain't calling nobody Ray G. Bayless. If I wasn't in a good mood today, I'd absolutely light his ass up right now. I would light him on fire. D-Bro, what's up, baby? All right, now let's get to the running backs, Jay. Let's get to the running backs now. The good running backs on the week. Who we got from the running back position who was good this week, JRich?
Is there good running backs this week? Oh, I didn't know
We
because
had
all
a
of
couple.
mine were
We
garbage.
We had two from the same team, so let's just start there in Baltimore and talk about those two stud. I was listening to the broadcast, man, and they were talking about how special Gus Edwards was. Tony Romo was like, "This is a special running back." I'm telling you what they said on the thing. Talk about Keaton Mitchell, Jay. Yes, way. Talk about Keaton Mitchell.
Keaton Mitchell was phenomenal. RB4 on the week, 9 for 138 and a touchdown, Ray. Did you know he only played 13 snaps in this game? I mean, my goodness, what more do you want from this guy? He was
efficiency.
Awesome. But, I mean, you talked about Keaton Mitchell a lot early in the draft process because he's so fast, so dynamic, and he just needed an opportunity. He really does look like Devon Achane light. I'm not going to say he is, but he kind of looked like it on Sunday, so I will give him credit for that. Gus Edwards, 5 carries, 52 yards, 2 touchdowns. At one point, he had like 4 carries for 10 yards and 2 touchdowns. What are we doing? He was lucky enough to break that big one. He's like RB6 on the week because, of course, he was. He's Gus Edwards. He has to score those touchdowns. But both those guys are great. Ray, your boy, Rachaad White, RB1 on the week. You continue to disrespect him week in and week out, and Rachaad White is paying dividends. Another guy you disrespect week after week, Ramondre Stevenson, 9 for 87. Big touchdown run.
Whoa. So I asked you, would you rather start Ramondre or Brian Robinson? And every day, neither. Don't want any of them. I don't want to start
Ramondre.
Hey,
didn't I?
D-Bro ain't in the show, but he's in the show because he's here. He even said neither. Can we start neither? And we're laughing, and Mondre finally got it done. Joe, take a bow. It's been 2 years since we were able to do this, so take a bow. It's been since the preseason of his rookie year. Mondre got it done. 89 yards and a touchdown. 87 yards and a touchdown. And what did he catch any passes? I mean, I don't know.
He did 4 for 42.
There you go. Mondre got it done.
That's why he's RB2 on the week. Your RB3, Ray. Josh Jacobs is back.
Josh Jacobs.
Is he back? Is he back? We talked about Bell Cow Barkley. How about Bell Cow Jacobs?
Man, jamming up the gut,
26 for 98 and 2. Did not catch a pass. Did not receive a target. But 26 carries for Josh Jacobs. Couldn't even get 100 yards. But you know what he did do, Ray? Got in the end zone twice and delivered for fantasy football. Those are really the only guys that did really well. And then for anyone who didn't notice this, because I didn't notice this, Antonio Gibson, Ray, outscored Brian Robinson this week. I did not know that.
Joe is having a day. Joe is, Joe, you ought to like this show 1,000,000 times over, Joe. You got your boy Gibby, Mondre. Pop off, Queen. Talk your shit, Joe. Go ahead and have at it, Joe. I unleash you to the chat for all the people who have You have showed up every week and taken ridicule and criticism for your love of Gibson and Ramondre and Jacobs. Pop off, Joe. You can go ahead and have them. Go get them, Joe. And yes, that 8 looked good. The great 8 made it happen this week. Brian Robinson was also good on the week, too. I mean, he fumbled the ball, but scored a touchdown in that matchup. Mondre was good.
Aaron Jones, good, too. 20 carries for Aaron Jones. What? Bell Cow Jones.
Bell Cow Jones and fumbled Jones. He scored a touchdown. But yes, Aaron Jones was good. Jay, I've only got one bad running back on the week. And again, my criteria for good, bad, ugly is who do we have expectations for? Who did we think would do well? And then they just didn't get it done for us. So let's just get to the bad running backs really quickly.
The bad running backs.
All right, Jay. Alvin Kamara was bad this week. Yeah. AK-41. That's my dude. That's my guy. He's been smashing for us in fantasy. But this was a player, I think I had him as RB1 on the week potentially. I think he was up there. I had everybody at RB1. Bijan, Alvin Kamara, everybody was RB1 on the week. And he just let us down this week. I'm not panicked long term.
You're not panicked that Taysom Hill led the team in carries?
That's a little problematic, but more so for Kendre Miller and Jamal. Alvin Kamara was still involved in the offense. He caught a couple of passes. He didn't completely nuke you, but we have high expectations for Alvin Kamara, so he gets in the bad category. We're not concerned long term, but damn it, you were bad this week for us, Alvin Kamara. Okay, so this is the ugly category. Do we have to talk? Should I run the drop or do we let's just do it because I like the beat. So we'll just go to the ugly RBs.
The ugly running backs.
JRich, can
Yes,
we
sir.
officially say that through 9 weeks of the NFL season, based on our expectations for this player, he has busted for us to this point? And I'm talking about
To this point, period.
Bijan Robinson out of Atlanta. Another week of, and we said
Nothing.
it, this was the week going into this game, new quarterbacks, Jaren Hall, this Minnesota defense, like this was the week to get it done. Like go make it happen this week versus this team. And again, another 11 carry, 50-yard performance, fumble, goal line work got taken by Tyler Algier. He's still RB12, I believe, on the season, Jay.
Yep.
But that doesn't feel that you don't feel good at all about it. When this was a player who was going top 10 in underdog drafts, every analyst under the sun said he would be RB1 on the season. He was going to smash. Tyler Algier ran for 1,000 yards, so Bijan must have 3,500 on the season.
Yep.
This is not an indictment against Bijan Robinson himself, but we're looking at the situation, Jay, and I'm just asking the question, I mean, has he been a bust so far?
100%. You know, you talk about total points, he's RB12. But here's a list of running backs that are scoring more points than Bijan Robinson. You mean you have Jerome Ford per game, who's very close at 12.6. He's tied with Bijan. Gus Edwards is 12.1. Ramondre is 12. Then ahead of him, Joe Mixon, 13.4. Tony Pollard, who's been awful this year, still scoring 13.3. Breece Hall, of course, way ahead of him. Rashad White, a guy that you don't even think is good at football, 14.3. Kenneth Walker, of course, better. DeAndre Swift, better. Derrick Henry, Zach Moss, Jahmyr Gibbs, of course, and the list only gets higher than that. There's a lot of running backs that are outperforming Bijan Robinson right now, and it's a big problem. You know, he gets his opportunities. He played 60% of snaps, so it's not even like he's not on the field. It's just doesn't matter who's at quarterback. He isn't utilized the way we hoped for, and I don't think that's going to change. Like, this is the biggest problem, is that people want change. When is it going to come? Why would it come? Like, it's the same thing with Kyle Pitts. Everyone wants Kyle Pitts to get the ball exclusively.
You've been saying this the whole time. You've been saying, how's it going to change? Like, when does it change? You know?
And they, thankfully for us, they lost the game, so maybe they're forced to make some change, but they still put up 28 points. They still only lost by 3. It was the defense let them down. When the Falcons score 28 points in a game, they're going to win like all of those games because they've been holding teams under 20. So to say that the offense didn't get it done, you can't really say that because they did put up the points, right? But Bijan, 1151, 4.6 a carry, is fine. He didn't get anything in receiving game.
He's good.
Didn't score again.
His advanced metrics are pretty good, Jay. They are incredible. But what is the team telling you? What is that? Stop thinking what you want to happen. And what are the Atlanta Falcons telling you right now? That they're going to keep using Tyler Algier,
running back. Yeah,
that's what has nothing to do with what we think or what we want or what we would hope to see.
You know who he is? You know who he is, Ray? He's Tony Pollard right now. He's basically last season's Tony Pollard. If you just look at what he's doing week in and week out without the touchdowns, he's basically 10 carries a game. He gets most of the receiving work. Now, he's playing more snaps, and that hasn't really... But you look at the production and what he's doing, he's basically getting similar to opportunities to what Tony Pollard got last season while Zeke was still there. Where Tony Pollard is seeing more opportunities, but he's not like... Again, the Falcons' offense isn't good. They're not scoring a ton of points. So when they're not scoring a lot of points and there's not a lot of snaps, it's just not really there for him right now. It's just not.
Another running back.
Still RB1, though.
He's still an RB1. He's still an RB1, and people would still take him one-on-one in rookie drafts. Still, it doesn't matter. He's generational.
Not a buy.
Jay,
no.
Geno Smith is killing Seattle. I mean, he is killing the Seahawks. Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet just
back-to-back weeks under double digits for Kenneth Walker. Back-to-back weeks under 10 carries for Kenneth Walker.
They got to change. They've got to get the ball out of Geno Smith's hands.
Part of it is Charbonnet too, right? So I think the biggest question for me to you, Ray, you have Kenneth Walker right now. He's RB8 right now on KTC. He's ahead of, Saquon, Eckler, Jacobs, Swift. We get all that.
Mm-hmm.
But is there a world where you would sell Kenneth Walker? Because his snaps are going down right now. He was getting, I believe, 79% of the opportunities prior to the last couple of weeks when Zach Charbonnet returned and was playing more snaps. Now Charbonnet is playing more. So JJ was tweeting out his stats if you want to go look at those to get the exact numbers. But JJ was talking about how he was we're getting 79% of opportunities and playing, I believe, 70% of snaps. Now with Zach Charbonnet factoring into the offense more, Walker's getting less opportunities. I believe it's only 60% of rushing opportunities and only playing 65% of total snaps. So it is a problem for him right now. And would you consider selling him?
I'll
And,
say this,
you know, maybe just maneuvering differently with Walker.
I'd be more inclined to buy than sell because I think I can catch somebody. I can catch somebody that's more panicked than I am willing to move for a second rounder and some fodder. So I'd probably be more in the market to buy and just bet on this bad variance working itself out. I understand that every week players aren't going to smash. I mean, even the great Alvin Kamara's had a down week. It's not going to happen. So I'd probably be more in the market to buy him at a reduced cost than sell him at a reduced price. But it's not good right now. And Geno Smith is absolutely killing this offense. And the final ugly running back that I want to talk about, Jay, and I pumped him up, said he could be RB1 on the season, not an RB1, the RB1. And I tweeted out last night, Tony Pollard's got to go. Like, I'm going to tell y'all right now, if you have him in Dynasty, I would be trying to move him. He's still valued somehow as a top 15 running back. He's 26 years old, coming off of ankle surgery. He's clearly not a bell cow lead type running back. He doesn't look as explosive as he once did. He'll be 27 in April, and he doesn't have a contract. Dallas is not going to pay him. He'll be somewhere else. If I can still cash out at top 15 prices for Tony Pollard, I mean, I tried to trade for him in a couple of leagues, Jay, and I'm so glad that the other manager just didn't get back to me. We didn't get a deal done. Just had to hold on for another week, and I'm very glad. But we've seen this story play out with this position in particular. Like the peak of Tony Pollard was last season. That was the peak of Tony Pollard, and from here on, I think it's a downward slope. And once people start to sell off and panic and want to get out, and he's somewhere else back in his role of being a complimentary running back, then I'll be more inclined to go acquire him at 27, 28 to help me win as a championship contender. But right now, when you're talking about in Dynasty, you're trying to extract the most value from your assets depending on your team situation. He's 100% a sell. He is absolutely, if people still value him like an elite level RB1 because he's got that star because of the name Tony Pollard, I feel like the actual production price in his market has not reflected how he's been. He has been bad. And you could talk about, he had a touchdown pulled away finally, but it still didn't count. So if I can get out at where he's valued right now, 1,000%. Goodbye, Tony Pollard. I think you need to be trying to move him pretty aggressively because after the season, no one's giving you multiple firsts for Tony Pollard. Like, once the season's over and people are like, Dallas didn't re-sign him, 27 years old, you better move him now. If you have him, you better get out right now. Jay, anything else you want to talk about from the running back positions before we do a little would you rather Bijan Robinson edition? Are you ready?
Oh, Bijan edition. So I do want to quickly touch on Pollard because I was looking at KTC rankings right now, and RB15 Javonte Williams is who I would target if I was trying to trade Tony Pollard. I don't think people are really caught on to how good Javonte's been and how he's kind of continuing to ascend because he's not putting up these league week winning type performances, but he is stacking good weeks on top of good weeks. You look at Kamara, you're not getting Kamara for him, you're not getting Pacheco for him, maybe James Cook, but I wouldn't go there. Could you think you get David Montgomery for Tony Pollard? He's hurt, so maybe.
I mean, you're trading.
Would you go Rashad White?
You're trading around in the same tier, right? You're manipulating around the same range of players. David Montgomery's 26 years old too and been banged up his entire career. You're moving around in the same tier. I'm more apt to not do that.
Okay, you're gonna go wait. You're gonna go tier down.
I'm either going down,
seconds.
I'm going down, or more importantly, I think a lot of times in Dynasty when we think about making trades, I saw Joe ask, "Wow, but what would you move him for?" A lot of times we think about trading running back for running back, and I don't think that's the easiest way to get it done. A lot of times, the easier way to acquire somebody or to move a player is a cross-positional trade. So instead of trying to trade Tony Pollard for another running back, I would try to trade him for a receiver plus. Can you get Deontay Johnson in a second for Tony Pollard? Like, how do you
think
move?
You could get that?
Well, I'm just throwing out. I'm just throwing out names, right? I have not thought through what or who, but I'm just saying a cross-positional trade. Don't try to go Tony Pollard for David Montgomery, Tony Pollard for Rashad White, because you're just flip-flopping assets. Make the other side feel like they're not really giving. And this is how you do it. Let me kick some game to y'all real quick, some Dynasty trade game. This is how you make it happen. You look at the other team's roster. you realize that they have a deficiency at the running back position, but they have a surplus at wide receiver. So why on earth, if you already know that they're lacking at running back and they're coming to you for your Tony Pollard, don't ask for the damn Jahmyr Gibbs back. Don't try to pull Devon Achane away. Go look at where they have a surplus. Go pivot to receiver. Which receivers within that range can you move Tony Pollard for and then get a kickback in return? Let you keep your Devon Achane. Give me your Deontay Johnson in a second.
What
Give
about
me your
George Pickens? I'll give you some names if you want.
Absolutely not. No, I don't want GP. Yeah,
Nico Collins.
I mean, can I get Nico? Can you get Nico Collins in a second? Can you do that?
It's similar value.
Sure.
Debo Samuel.
Can you do it? Yeah, the point is, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to trade running back for running back because that's when shit just gets cluttered. Cross-positional trade that bad boy. But let's get into some would you rather Bijan edition. Give me some music, man. I need the music. Give me music until I tell you to cut it off. All right. Bijan Robinson, Jay, right now. Or your choice of, no, I'm going to say 101 in the rookie drafts, or would you take JRich? You're taking Bijan 101?
No way.
I said, are you taking Bijan 101 today? Is it Bijan 101 in rookie drafts?
I don't think I would take Bijan even ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs right now. I don't even think that's a hot take.
I do some softball to get to the hard stuff. So now, Bijan Robinson or Jahmyr Gibbs right now in Dynasty?
I'm taking Gibbs.
Stop it. Are you
I'm
really
taking Gibbs?
100%. Talk because people are going to say, oh, that's just hot take, JRich. That's just hot. That's prisoner of the moment.
It sounds hot, but the reality is both players are going to be on the same team for the considerable future. And so why don't you want an ascending team like the Detroit Lions that's probably going to be good for the next 2 years, who has a great offensive line, who doesn't have a questionable coaching situation? Like, you could try and ride it out with Bijan, but I think that pendulum is going to swing quicker than you think it will.
Until
and Gibbs
David Montgomery comes back and then Gibbs doesn't get any carries, and then you'll be like, I'd rather have Bijan Robinson. All right, Bijan or Devon Achane right now, straight up, which one would you rather have?
I think you probably should go with Bijan, but
Why?
Volume. Yeah, volume.
The what?
Projecting volume week in, week out. Yeah. You can't expect Devon Achane to keep averaging 12 yards a carry. You just can't. You just can't. But I've said it and I've said it. I will continue to say it. He's the most difficult player in the NFL to value. The most difficult by far.
Bijan Robinson or the 103 in 2024? And mind you, when I say this, you'll be able to get something there with it. But would you rather the 103 plus?
No, I think the 103 is fair.
Rashad White. 103 and Rashad White or Bijan Robinson?
103 and Rashad White easily. You're getting the production right now, and you're getting probably Drake May.
All right, cut the music. Let's get to the receivers. I thought that was an interesting conversation. We're going to clip that and see what all the YouTube shorts think about that, Jay. We've got receivers and tight ends to talk about. So let's start with the good ones because we are positive today on this fine Monday.
The good wide receivers and tight ends.
Love this AI. I asked you to do this and use your voice, and you just went the cheap, easy way. And
outsourced it.
Outsourced that AI. All right, Jay, good receivers on the week. Who we got?
Oh, well, I mean, so we can talk about Amari Cooper, but Tank Delray.
Well, talk about Cooper first. I want to talk about Cooper.
He got lucky, man. Did you see that touchdown?
I did see the touchdown.
Come on,
he still had 100.
That
was a touchdown, but he had 139 yards, and he looked good in the game. The touchdown was very much
good. The touchdown
was pure. It wasn't even suspect. It was pure luck. But Amari Cooper was very good today or yesterday, and it's good to see the connection with Watson. Listen, we talked about this on Friday. We knew that they were going to put foot in Arizona, but Watson still needed to play well. So we don't want to take anything away from Deshaun Watson. Yes, that was a lucky touchdown catch. It was pure luck. No skill involved in that. But I thought Amari Cooper looked like Amari Cooper, and he played very well yesterday. Yeah. So go ahead and go to Tank Dell, man. Go to Tank Dell.
Right. Tank Dell, I mean, what do you got to say? 6 receptions on 11 targets, 114 yards, 2 touchdowns, the game winner. And did you know he was the second player in terms of fantasy points this week, period, ahead of all the quarterbacks not named CJ Stroud. So not only did CJ Stroud produce as the number 1 player on the week, but his wide receiver, Tank Dell, was number 2. He outscored CeeDee Lamb. He outscored his own teammate, Noah Brown, who also balled out, Ray. I don't know if you know this, but CJ Stroud.
Hey, somebody gave me a shout out for that when I told people follow the Trinity. I said it on the Trinity. I was like, hey, go get Noah Brown off waivers. AB, Antonio Brown in the building, said, Ray, great call on Noah Brown. Got him for cheap off waivers. He's about to win a week in best ball. Listen, if y'all aren't, hey, if you don't want to pay the $9, that's fine. We've given out multiple opportunities to check out the Trinity Tracker for free. If you're not tapped into that, it is the single best tool to help you identify which receivers you need to be trying to look at, which ones you might need to pivot off of. I am very confident in saying that. It is a fantastic tool that Jordan Back has built out on DD.com. And Noah Brown was a very good call out from that one. But yes, the whole Texans receiving core balled out this week, Jay.
Top 11 wide receivers, all of them. Like, all of them were in the top 11.
That is a truck.
Dalton Schultz was tight end 1, right? And obviously, CJ Stroud was QB 1. So, like, all the Texans players balled the hell out this week. Noah Brown was great. And, Ray, we got the reintroduction of T. Higgins this week. Thank God. Yeah, player we put out as one of the second half breakouts, a guy that was underperforming at a very high level. And finally, T. Higgins got it done. 8 for 9, 110, no touchdown. Came so close multiple times scoring a touchdown, but didn't get in the end zone. T. Higgins was great. Obviously came at the expense of Jamar Chase, and we will get into that. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Ray, good enough?
I said it yesterday, last night.
But
it's
enough?
encouraging. It's encouraging. It's encouraging that he's getting some more looks. And I know DK Metcalf was not quite 100%. I don't believe he was 100% yesterday, but JSN getting some more looks, and I believe that, and we added a new tab on the Trinity Tracker to where you can look at and track players weekly, so that will really help as well to see which players are actually progressing week to week and not just seeing their overall score. So make sure you check that out. But yes, I am excited for JSN. He's getting better. He's coming around. It's still isn't doing it for us in fantasy, but I'll say this, Jay. I feel a little more optimistic today about what JSN is doing opposed to Zay Flowers, who has a much higher score than him. We'll talk about Zay Flowers in a minute, but you have to be encouraged by what we're seeing from JSN, at least of late.
Yeah, now let's go to Philly because we had 2 big games. One from your boy CeeDee Lamb, 16 targets, Ray, 11 receptions, 191 yards. Wide receiver 2 on the week with no touchdowns, which is ridiculous. Then you have A.J. Brown, 7 receptions, 66 yards, and did get in the end zone.
Yes,
Not quite 125 for Mr. 125, but he didn't have to get 125, and they still got the win. So shout out A.J. Brown for continuing to get it done for us week in and week out. And the new tight end 1, Ray, can I say that?
Come on,
Dalton
baby.
Kincaid?
Come on, baby.
The new tight end
Come
1?
on, baby. You know, Jay, I am most of all the fantasy takes. That's one I'm still proud of because nobody believed Dalton Schultz was a damn thing. That's probably like one of my more proud call moments. Put your name on the line, and Dalton Schultz, man, he got it done. And it looks like there's some chemistry there. Houston just looks like a good spot to be in. I want pieces of the offense. I want pieces of the offense. I want Dalton Schultz. Give me Noah Brown. Give me Nico. Give me Bobby Trees. I just want pieces of the offense. When you have a freaking 18-wheeler, which is CJ Stroud, he might be a damn tank. I don't even know if that's considered a truck. But when you've got that thing, man, like that's who CJ Stroud is, and it's going to make other players very good with him.
Yeah, Schultz, tight end 1. Cole Kmet. I mean, we left him for dead this week. 2 touchdowns for Cole Kmet with Tyson Bagent. Let's go.
Yeah,
winning weeks. Cade Otton was great. Another 2 touchdowns for him.
Otton. Well,
right, Dalton Kincaid.
Every tight end. Just list off all the tight ends that smashed this week, and there were all of them. I mean,
all right, so we got Jonnu Smith. 100 yards for Jonnu Smith and a touchdown on 5 receptions. He was awesome. TJ Hawkinson, even though he lost his quarterback, still was great for fantasy. Taysom Hill. Ray, I don't know if you know this. Taysom Hill is playing like the tight end 1. Not a tight end 1.
Bullshit designation. What position is he? He's not even a tight end.
Ray, I'm sorry. Does Taysom Hill make the rules? Does he designate his position? He does not. He doesn't do that. So it's not his fault. He's being more utilized in the offense. If you have Taysom Hill, and I've continuously said that, he's the biggest cheat code at tight end. And it's ridiculous he's a tight end. But you know what? I'm happy to take advantage and throw my tight end slot every single week because he's throwing touchdowns. Like I mentioned, he had the most carries on the week.
Like, what is he truly worth in Dynasty? If you were going to trade him away,
I got offered him for a 3rd rounder, and I said no. You know why? Because I'm an idiot. He scored 20 points this week. He's been great, and he's going to continue to be great because he does everything for this offense. You know, we talk about Alvin Kamara, what he does. Chris Olave obviously is great as well, but he's an absolute cheat code.
They said he's the real life super flex. Like he is the super flex.
He runs the ball.
Is.
He's passing touchdowns. He even caught 4 passes. Like, right. This is his stat line. Let me read it out. 1 pass for 3 yards and a touchdown. 11 carries, 52 yards. 4 receptions on 5 targets for 13 yards. This is one player who plays the least valuable position in fantasy football. He's awesome. He's great. He's going to continue to be great. Love Taysom Hill. Luke Musgrave got in the end zone. Talked about K. Dotton. He scored twice. Mark Andrews was great as well. Then you have Dalton Schultz, as I mentioned, was great. And your boy, Jake Ferguson, top 5 tight end on the week. Second target getter for the Dallas Cowboys, 7 for 91 and a touchdown. A lot of tight end smash this week. A lot. But Taysom Hill, I mean, my goodness. Dude is so cheap right now. And he scored double digits each of the last 4 weeks. And he scored 20-plus points each of the last 2 weeks.
Man, would you rather Jamar Chase or the 3 Cincinnati Bengals tight ends, Drew Sample, Irv Smith, and Tanner
all
Hudson?
Their points?
Yeah, all their points, man. The 3 Cincy tight ends out there smash. Man, it was a good week. If you had a tight end, then you pretty much smashed. Big Fur.
You're probably good.
Listen, I keep telling folks, Juwan Johnson. Outside of one, and we'll get to that one in a minute, but Dallas's tight end position, you just bet on Dak and his tight end. It's just a fruitful spot to be. Jake Ferguson looks like a freaking monster. Very excited for Big Ferg. Jay, let's get to the bad wide receivers on the week. And I got two. Just, we're not going to get too crazy. I got 2 bad receivers this week. 2 bad receivers.
The bad wide receivers and tight ends.
All right, the bad, Jamar Chase.
Yeah, he wasn't
just bad. It just wasn't good. But much like Alvin Kamara, the reason why we put him in bad and not the ugly is because these are players we're not worried about. It was a bad week for Jamar Chase. We had him ranked as a top wide receiver, 4 catches. It looked like the plan for Buffalo was do not let Jamar Chase beat us. We will let anybody else do whatever they want. Don't let Jamar Chase beat us. Nobody cares. None of us are panicked. T. Higgins got it going, which honestly, for the long term of the Cincinnati Bengals, might be a better thing, right? You get T. Higgins, and he said it. You could, if you watch the postgame interview, you can feel a big sigh of relief from T. Higgins. He said the first words out of his mouth was, man, I needed it. It was about time. It was about time I got it going. So if anything, this should help Cincinnati moving forward. Get T's confidence going. You found some tight end options that you can use. Jamar didn't do anything, but that's okay, Jamar. Your days will come. We know that you're going to be a monster moving forward. But Jamar Chase pretty bad on the week, but not worried long term. But he was bad on the week.
Yeah, people were talking about how he fell on his back pretty hard in that game and was a little bit banged up after that. I think it was in the 3rd quarter or the 4th quarter?
Yeah, I think it was 3rd quarter, 4th quarter. But again, no one's worried about it. But if you started him, you're like, damn, man, this was a game that we probably could have got some Jamar Chase points. But no worries for Jamar. Hopefully his back is fine. The one that I am Jay, I say it every single week. I never understood his price and his value in underdog. I just did not get it. Christian Watson, Jay. I mean, this is, and at this point, it's not even, we're right. It just sucks. Like, damn, dude, like you can't stay healthy. Jordan Love and him, there's no connection there. What do you do with Christian Watson? He was as high as damn near top 15 wide receiver value before the start of the season. I think he's outside the top 36 now, the last I looked on KTC. But what do you do with Christian Watson right now? You can't start him. You cannot start him.
No, you can't start him. Well, yeah, you can't really start him, if I'm being honest. No. So, in terms of value, wide receiver 35, so you were basically right on line there. Good job by you. The biggest concern, I think, for me in this game is that he got no targets. Like, he was 6 on the team in targets with 2. Previous 2 weeks, 5 and 8. He's not converting. We know he got hurt. He got hurt. He got hurt, but it's like belly, his arm, everything got broken on the play. I mean, it's just rough. It's rough because this was a player a lot of people were counting on, especially in best ball, to be that boom bust option for us, and it's been all bust, no boom so far for Christian Watson. So I'm holding strong though. Like if I got him, I honestly don't think I would move him because, like for instance, this week. I ran the numbers on the Trinity tool and I was looking at expected fantasy points and who's one of the biggest regression candidates. It was T. Higgins, Chris Olave, but number 1 was Christian Watson. Because he gets the air yards, he gets the deep targets, and previous weeks he was getting targeted, he obviously got hurt. So you look at it, it's like things should be clicking for Watson. They haven't yet. And when they do, and my whole point was he's done this before where he goes on a bit of a run, and now that was with Aaron Rodgers, but he's been capable of this before. So I would hold strong with Watson. I don't believe he was ever this top 24 option.
Okay,
top
so your expectations were never there. Like your expectations weren't there from the beginning.
I think people just got out over their skis. But if he returns to, again, I compared him to T. Higgins, compared them kind of to what Devontae Smith does, and Devontae Smith will get a boost going forward as well. I think he can produce similar numbers, just maybe not the high end we were hoping for. But he can be the one in Green Bay, and that should be a fruitful role. It's just right now it's not looking too good for Christian Watson, unfortunately.
Jay, let's just get to it. Let's just get to it. Let's get to it.
The ugly wide receivers and tight ends.
Travis Kelce, Jay.
Awful. That game was over early, though.
I mean, good Lord. 3 for 14. I just did nothing. I think he just... Was Taylor in Germany? Was she out there with him?
No, she was not, Ray. She was not in Germany.
Okay, I'm just trying to see if he got some of that swift booty before he left. You know, sometimes that zaps your energy. Russell Westbrook said that, man. He said, hey, I can't do that before the game. It takes a lot of... Listen, in high school, they said, do not have sex before the games. They said, don't do that. It zaps your... That's a real thing, man. They said, don't have sex before the games, you know? Debatable for me. Depends... Debatable, right? It
debatable.
It's debatable.
It's like, I don't really want to go to the NFL anyway, so
yeah, you know, it's debatable. Depends on the day, depends on the mood. But yeah, Travis Kelce, Travis Kelce, awful, just awful. Not concerned, but good Lord, he was ugly. Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, Jay. Again,
they got Ripien.
Ripien at quarterback. But I just wanted to say it because I said I got that target share, though. The target share was still... That's all we can hang our hat on right now is the target share for those two. But I do believe that the Rams have a bye this week, and Matthew Stafford was close to playing or potentially could have played. Probably not really close.
This was the initial...
Yes.
Everyone expected him to miss this week, return after the bye. He'll be fine, and hopefully Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua do return back to form. Jalen Waddle, Ray... Same as Jamar Chase, basically had similar stats, didn't do much of anything. He was in and out of the lineup. Michael Thomas, I believe he had no targets this week, which is just...
Hey, Jimbo,
what are we doing?
Them swift cheeks ain't really cheeking like they need to neither, man. Them swift cheeks are
But you know what he's doing, right? He's holding strong for November right now, so good for Travis Kelce.
What's November? What's November?
Right, how old are you?
N, triple N?
Triple N, my friend. We won't even say it.
Where did that even come from?
It's a big, I don't know where it came from, but it's a big thing. It's a real thing.
Yeah, I'll try again in 2024. Who else do we have that was awful? Michael Thomas, Jay, just zero. Literally one target, nothing from MT. Zay Flowers.
Wow.
Woof, Zay Flowers. Chris Godwin
was bad too.
He
30 points and he did nothing.
Not
DJ Moore was awful.
DJ
Metcalf,
Moore,
1 catch, 50 yards.
DK, there were a lot of stinkers at the wide receiver position this week. I will say this, Jay. I'm gonna give the people some advice real quick. I would seriously,
what kind of advice?
And I said this, Jay, a couple of weeks ago that the rumor out of Dallas was they wanted to get Jalen Tolbert more reps. And last night, I think you started to see, and Dak actually missed Tolbert on a wide open, would have been touchdown pass, too much pressure from, I believe it was either Brandon Graham or Hassan Reddick. But he's going to take over that number 2 role from Cooks and from Michael Gallup. So if Jalen Tolbert's chilling out there on waivers, just an early look ahead, go get him. Go get you some Jalen Tolbert. George Pickens, Jay, we kind of talked about him on Thursday, but he is not the alpha. It is Deontay
fake
Johnson.
Alpha, Ray.
He is the fake alpha. He is the fake alpha. Deontay Johnson is the guy. George Pickens also pretty ugly on the week, Jay. Let's do the last Would You Rather tight end edition, Jay. Give us some music, man. Give me the music. You know when to fade it out. You know when it's about time to fade it out. Let's start this thing off, Jay, talking about 2 of the best young tight ends in the NFL. Numero uno, there you go. Dalton Kincaid, who is at the foundation of this Would You Rather, Jay. So would you rather Dalton Kincaid? Let's just get right to the top. Or Sam Laporta in Dynasty. Kincaid or Laporta? Who do you want?
I think I want Dalton Kincaid.
Oh!
I think I want Dalton Kincaid. Yeah. I think I do. I think I want Dalton Kincaid.
Talk about it, because it was been all Laporta season, and now
Yes.
your revisionist history and prisoner of the moment self is picking Dalton Kincaid over Sam Laporta. Please talk about this.
So Sam Laporta was off this week, so wasn't in the public eye, which is bad for him, right? Didn't get to see him, so he's sitting on the couch doing nothing. You know what? If he put the work in, maybe he'd be higher in the rankings, but he had the bye week. Didn't see any workout videos from him. But the reality is, the tiebreaker for me really is the quarterback, right? Say it every week. It feels like Josh Allen needs a slot receiver. We've seen Khalil Shakur do great. We've seen Dalton Kincaid step up in Dawson Knox's absence. I think that if you're going to bet on a player, I want to bet on the quarterback, because the quarterback in Buffalo is much better than the quarterback in Detroit, in my opinion. And especially when you talk about volume, the volume should also lean the Buffalo side as well. So if I'm betting on anybody, I would bet on Dalton Kincaid. Both are great. Both deserve to be top 5 in terms of dynasty rankings, top 3 even if you want to go down high. You know, Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, Kyle Pitts can just sit outside the top 10. But honestly, if I was betting on a guy, it would be Dalton Kincaid over Sam Laporta right now, slightly because of the offense and slightly because of the quarterback.
Let's re-rank this. I think this top 10 is not right, Jay. Okay? For me, I would still take Sam Laporta over Dalton Kincaid, but it's very close.
Okay.
I would take the year and a half age, even though none of that stuff matters at all. But I would probably still take Sam Laporta over Kincaid. But I do believe that those two should be probably, both of them, top 3 tight ends in Dynasty. So let's just go through this list. Let's re-rank the top 10. And I'm going to start with this. Do you still believe that George Kittle and Dallas Goedert should be valued as top 10 Dynasty, not redraft, not seasonal, top 10 Dynasty assets at the tight end position? Simple question.
I think yes by default. Yes by default.
Well, let's not default
like simply
this.
by a lack of competition.
Let me do this a different way. Should Jake Ferguson be valued higher than tight end 15 right now?
Probably.
Okay. Do you believe Cole Kmet should be valued higher than tight end 14 right now?
Not really. Sort of. Like, he had a good week, but I'm not going to say he deserves to be in the top 12.
All right. Do you think Trey McBride and Michael Mayer have an appropriate slot at tight end 10 and tight end 9?
I think you can make the case for McBride. Mayer, I think we got to see a little bit more from a little bit, but he deserves to be rising for sure. It's just a clusterfuck. When you get past tight end 5, Kyle Pitts, Kittle, Goddard, Mayer, McBride, Engram, who could be higher easily, Musgrave. I mean, what is Jordan Love? We don't know. Freiermuth could be easily lower. He's hurt and does
I don't know.
nothing.
I don't know how he's there, but
right.
Yeah.
Kmet could be higher. Ferguson could be higher. And Njoku probably appropriately ranked, maybe a little bit low, depending on how you. It's just a lot of guys who could be okay. I think it comes down to is, and my question for you, Ray, is how long are you going to hold on?
I see a buy in here. I see a buy.
Really?
I do think Cade Otton is one that I wouldn't mind investing in, valued as tight end 20. I think he's a buy.
Once you get outside tight end 16, I mean, I'd buy just about any of those guys, right? Because they're all
fair.
So my question to you is, how much longer do you think we're going to say that Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, TJ Hawkinson are ahead of some of these guys? Like, you know,
they're
Andrews
not.
has been good
They're
this
not.
year, but I don't think
They're
he's
not, man.
I don't think he deserves to be up there anymore.
I do think Andrews does. I think Mark Andrews does. I'm not looking at the chat yet. I want to see what the chat says. So please engage, chat. Chat. I want a full top 10. Somebody chat a top 10, and so we can get this on the screen. I want y'all to do top 10. Somebody in the chat while we talk. You know we can talk for a long time. I do think that Laporta, Kincaid, at least those two should probably be higher than at least Kelce. He's the tight end 1. Like, that's the tight end you want in redraft, Jay. But like Dynasty, I don't know, man.
How long do we hold on to Kelce?
Yeah, I mean, he's valuable to the team that has him. If you have Travis Kelce, he's way more valuable to you than he is to other people in the league. That doesn't mean other of your league mates wouldn't want the production that Travis Kelce brings, but he's just more valuable to you. Nobody is going to give you what he probably. I moved Travis Kelce in the league, Jay, a tight end premium league where it's actual matters, 2 points per reception. I moved him for an entire draft class. I moved him for a first, second, a third, and a fourth.
Nice.
Just entire draft class. I got a 24 draft class for Travis Kelce in a 2 point per reception league. Goddard should not be top 8. I think that's just name. it has nothing to do with this. Has nothing to
Ferguson
do with
outscoring him right now.
Here was my biggest gripe. And if you use the WAR tool, it tells you this. After about 3 or 4 tight ends, it just starts to flatline. So I could get equal to Dallas Goedert position. You could have gotten that from Jake Ferguson when Jake Ferguson was still valued as like tight end 30. And he's scoring you the same amount of damn points as Dallas Goedert. Trey McBride. You could find similar production. Like, this is the worst range in Dynasty. I think of every position in Dynasty, Jay, this cluster is where people F up the most. Kyle Pitts, Kittle, Goddard, this tight end 6 to tight end 10 range. And if you think about where it was at the start of the season, it was players like David Njoku, Darren Waller, Chig Okonkwo up there, Greg Dulcich up there. Like, this is I don't want to live in this land. Either give me one of the top tight ends, and I mean the top ones, not Dallas Goedert's kind of a top tight end.
Want me to run through the list with you?
Go ahead, run through it.
So, because you're talking about this, I want to give it a bit more context right now. So I'm on ESPN. I have the leaders right now in fantasy points per game. As you mentioned, you want the top 4. Travis Kelce, number 1, 17.6. Mark Andrews, number 2, 15.6. TJ Hawkinson, number 3, 14.5. Sam Laporta, number 4, 13.8. Very clear cut, 1 through 4.
There it is,
and then you
right
get into a massive gap from 12 all the way to 8 fantasy points per game in order. Cole Kmet, George Kittle, Evan Ingram, Dalton Schultz, Jake Ferguson, Dallas Goedert, Taysom Hill, Darren Waller, Logan Thomas, Dalton Kincaid, Jonnu Smith, David Njoku, Cade Otton, Kyle Pitts, Hunter Henry, and almost Gerald Everett. So, again, what's the difference between those guys?
Nothing.
Not a lot.
Nothing.
But in terms of dynasty value, it's massive. Like, you see guys from up in the, like you mentioned, 7, 8 overall, even 6 overall in dynasty ranks, all the way down to like tight end 30 in dynasty ranks. So that just tells you the variability between all of these players and where you should allocate your resources. You should not be drafting tight ends 8 through even 16 right now. Like, you really shouldn't, because there's no difference between these guys, and you really can find value on the waiver wire via trade, picking up some of these guys that can be eligible at tight end. And Ray, I don't know if you know this, but TJ Hawkinson is currently leading tight ends in targets and receptions at the position.
He's a monster. He is no longer the fraudulent
Big Hawkinson guy.
My goodness, big Hawk. Here goes one from Kyle. Kyle from Full Press Fantasy. Shout out to Kyle. He's always in here. Andrews, Hawkinson, Laporta, Kincaid, Kelce are his top 5, followed by Kittle, Ingram, Schultz, Pitts, and Goddard. I actually like this.
I'm okay with that list. I like it.
I like this list. I would have Ferguson in there. I'd have Ferguson over Goddard. I'm fine with Schultz being inside the top 10. Pitts... Man.
Nah, bro, you can't.
You have to. He's 23. He's done it before. I mean, if we're being fair and we give Arthur Smith the blame for Bijan Robinson, then I'm going to say that some of that has to do like scheme matters. Scheme and system matters, Jay. Like, we could say all this stuff we want about, the player earns everything, but when you have an awful scheme, an awful offensive mind that has no creativity, no creative bone in his body. I mean,
Ray, we don't like Arthur Smith, but he traded the 7th round pick to get Jonnu Smith, and he currently has more receptions, more touchdowns, and more yards than the number 4 overall pick in Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
So Arthur Smith is doing something right. Okay. Maybe it's not what we want, but this is, and again, when I broke down the Falcons' offense, this was very apparent. There is always 2 tight ends involved in this offense, whether you like it or not. And that's the biggest problem. And that's why Jonnu Smith is outscoring Kyle Pitts right now.
Conjure says Laporta, Kincaid, Andrews, Hawk, Kelce, Ingram, Pitts, and then I really don't care. We've got Tater Wolf, who says Kelce, Mandrews, Laporta, Kincaid, and Hawk are his top 5. Kittle, Schultz, Ingram, Ferguson, Taysom, Hulk, rounding out his top 10. I just want to get a couple of more. Dustin Stevens, Laporta, Kincaid, Hawk, Andrews, Kelce, top 5. Pitts, Ingram, McBride, Mayer, Ferguson after that. And our girl Joe, my top 5 in Dynasty is Andrews, Laporta, Kelce, Kincaid, Hawkinson, Ferg. Okay, that's the highest we've seen Ferg, Kittle, and Goddard for Joe. Okay, all right. And do we have any others that I want to bring up that looked interesting? Dustin, Tater. Who is this? Kevin. Let's go this one real quick. We got Laporta, Hawk, Kincaid, Kelce, Andrews, Pitts, Goddard, McBride, Ingram, Ferguson, McGrove, and Kittle. So that must be McBride and Kittle. Okay. So, I mean,
I think it means Musgrave.
You think Musgrave? You think it's Musgrave or over McBride?
Musgrave,
Well, yeah,
he
he's
has
got
McBride.
He's got McBride. Musgrave, yeah, Musgrave. Okay. All right. So those were the tight ends on the week. The ugly tight ends and wide receivers.
The DD tight end rankings. Let's go.
The DD tight end.
What everyone asked for.
Literally just ranked them out real quick. But yeah, that's the good, the bad, and JRich, the freaking ugly, rolling out of week 9. Overall takeaways from this week, and we've got a Monday night game that
disgusting. Jets and Chargers? Gross. Do we get good Justin Herbert in this game, Ray?
Jay, I kind of want to talk about Loki. Are you watching Loki on Disney Plus? Oh, yeah, you're not a Marvel guy, are you?
I'm not a Marvel guy. Sorry. How was it, though? Tell me about it. Give me a little synopsis,
show,
or maybe
man.
Don't ruin it for the people.
It's a good show. I don't want to ruin it for the people. I've got some thoughts about old Loki. We need to talk. Apparently, they're bringing back Hugh Jackman and... Well, I saw this on Facebook, so this could be fake news. But Toby,
so they're trying to bring back it's
Toby Maguire right? for the old Spider-Man and Hugh Jack. I don't know how we got to this point.
Yeah, they're trying to they're trying to re-explain. They're trying to bring back all the original Avengers, and they're explaining it through the multiverse or whatever.
Yeah,
a bunch of them died or whatever.
Just hit the thumbs up button and this is actually technically over. We are just killing time because I was trying to get to the 2-hour mark for some people, but we got 20 minutes left. And I don't have enough to talk about to get us to 2 hours today. Jay, what do the people need to be tapped into this week from Destination Debbie? You are doing a great job with the short form video, Jay, so make sure you tapped into the YouTube channel. We've got some things right here. Separate live stream for this, please, George. Let's talk, Ray Patrick. Chill, Ray G. Come on, we cooking tonight on Mojo. Yeah, use Mojo. New Deadpool. I'll talk Loki with you, Ray. Hey, man, we just love y'all. We love waking up with y'all in the mornings on Monday. Jay, I'm sorry. What's coming from DD this week? I'm all over the place.
I mean, lots of content from DD. Like you mentioned, Scott Connor's pod, Overreaction. We have Gene and Ike, who've been dropping some great content. Tons of articles, so make sure to check out the website for all of that. Brandon dropped his Monday Night Football betting preview that dropped last night. So you can go and check that out. That one is free, I believe, right now for everyone who wants to go check it out. But sign up on the website, sign up on Patreon, like and subscribe. Ray, make sure you get to the super chats because I did see someone in the comments saying that we haven't got super chats yet.
Yes.
But I think for content, the biggest thing right now really is the Trinity Tracker, the Trinity Show that you do each and every week. That is one of our staples. It's one of the biggest pieces of content we put out and definitely one of the most actionable, right? I go in the Trinity Tracker all the time and I see all the different things that we put together for this. So I think that it's very valuable. It, again, helped me identify Chris Olave, helped me identify T. Higgins this week, and talked about other regression candidates of guys who could not be as good, and those guys didn't do that well as well. So I think there's a lot of things you can take away from it, whether you're looking at it from expected fantasy points, from the scores themselves. JB finally put together week-to-week data for me that I asked him for last week.
Yes. Check. So I was going to pull up the tracker real quick. So here is the new update. This is freaking dope. So now you could filter by individual players and look at their weekly Trinity score, Jay, and their fantasy points. So you could just pull Puka Nacua and kind of track where he's been week to week. And, of course, below the regression line the past couple of weeks, week 6, week 8,
Ripien.
Week 3. Yeah, Brett Ripien. But you can start to kind of play around with this, look at their weekly score, and their finishes, filter it out by seasons. If you just want to look at 2023, you can filter this out and just be like, yeah, I just want to look at this year. I don't care about what Puka Nacua did in 2022, even though he didn't play in the damn league then, but you get the point. It's a very, very good update. But yeah, let's get to super chats real quick. I'm sweating, Jay. I'm sweating right here. Dominic, 5058. Take a 24 mid first and a 24 second to move off of Bryce. Is this Bryce Young?
Right, I imagine it's Bryce Young, right? This is a question for you because you got the people back in. You even got me back in a little bit. I was not all in on Bryce. So would you accept that for your Bryce Young today if you were thinking about selling?
Probably not, but I don't hate that. Reroll.
You yourself are holding out hope for better. But it's not a bad offer.
Well, it's not just hope. He's going to get he's going to start next year. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
But will he be better?
Mid-second, let's say it's the 107, right? Run through it with me. Yeah. Caleb gone. Drake May gone. Marvin Harrison Jr. gone. Brock Bowers gone.
Probably gone.
That's 4. Do I have a shot to get JJ McCarthy?
First round receiver, pretty much guaranteed, right?
Yeah, that's what I said.
You named 3 and then 4.
Well,
yeah, that's not bad.
We're thinking super flex here. Is there a shot JJ McCarthy falls to the 107? I don't think so.
That depends. So I think depends on how many first round. You're not getting a first round quarterback at 107. I think
That's what I'm saying. He's a first-round quarterback. Malik Neighbors and Keon Coleman also are first-round picks. So even with those four,
but Odunze, right?
I think you're playing a dangerous game right there. Like because what you're gonna get put in a box to do is if Bo Nix is the last quarterback drafted in the first round and you're sitting at the 107 and you just moved off of Bryce, you are going to be like, man, I got to take Bo Nix. Today, I don't know. I don't know how much better Bo Nix is.
What's interesting about that conversation, right? I think at the 107, you'd actually be in a better spot because what you're talking about is more of the this year conundrum where you're at 105. Do I take JSN? Do I take Jahmyr Gibbs? Do I take Bryce Young if he's available?
Hey, man,
right? Like,
I'm burning up.
I think we're gonna be
Go
at.
faster. I'm not going to make it, man.
I don't think it's a good trade. I'm kind of with you on that. I wouldn't make it. But it's interesting to discuss the value of who you could get there because I think you're looking at probably a receiver there, and I'd be okay with that.
All right, we got one here from B. Ruckus. Started Stroud yesterday, and he's going to give me first place with his first loss. Give me first place with his first loss, Dub. Also, where did you get that hat? Yeah, let me reread this again. Started Stroud yesterday and going to give first place. Oh, he's going to give first place his first loss. Good stuff, baby.
Oh.
Yeah. You got to decipher these a little bit sometimes, man. You know, YouTube, man, it's kind of tough. But he said, where'd you get that hat from? This is my homegirl out of Vegas. Her name is Dominique Harris. You can go to Labeled, L-A-B, how you spell Labeled? L-A-B-E-L-E-D, LV.com, and you can cop these hats, different colors. Very good family, very good friend of mine for a very long time. So make sure you go to LabeledLV.com to get that. And good shit starting Stroud, man, getting that dub, handing that number one team his loss. Good stuff. And then Taylor Wolf right here. Petition to nickname Arthur Smith the Mustache Hole. I can't stand Arthur Smith,
Not bad.
man. Yeah, it's not even what he's doing from a play calling standpoint. It's the arrogance in which he talks to people. Just kind of like, I just know everything better than you. I don't really vibe with him.
Now everyone's talking about how he's rich, and so he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, he doesn't. He is rich. I mean, he's got family wealth, generation, FedEx money, baby. Like, come on. And then Joe did say, told y'all about Jacobs and Ramondre. Yes, Jacobs and Ramondre smash. Good show, Jake. Good stuff. Appreciate everybody being in the building. Y'all have a fantastic Monday. Stay tapped into everything that we're doing on DD. Hit that thumbs up button one more time for you, boy. Like the content, subscribe. We got betting videos, fantasy videos, Trinity videos, short videos, long videos. And don't have sex before you go to work today. I don't want your performance to suffer like Travis Kelce. We out of this thing. Peace.